2, 1. Hey, everybody, it's Abraham DeWeese from Seattle Sports Union once again with Matt Paige and Brian the Soulman Solack.
Hey, how's it going?
Doing good. All right, guys, let's get straight into it. No time for dilly-dallying. The Seahawks didn't win, and they don't deserve our love. We got to ask the big questions. What's going on with this team? Sorry, guys, they do deserve our love. But they're like that child that we don't really like as much as the other children right now. You know?
Yeah, I know how that feels.
Oh, wow, it got real there. All right. Anyway, big news this week. Because one of those children, Matthew Paige, I know that you're not a big fan of, is Tedrick Thompson in that defensive backfield. And big news this week, they may have found a replacement for him.
Yeah, I'm a little happy about that. Quandre Diggs, we got him for a 5th round pick from the Detroit Lions, and I really like him. He was on the Pro Bowl I think a year ago, and he's signed to a pretty solid contract that isn't too offensive. And he's probably one of the last good players remaining on the Detroit roster, which is kind of surprising why we got him. I don't know. But a 5th round pick for him, deal any day of the week.
Yeah, that might be a team that is in transition. Detroit's at the bottom of the standings for that NFC North. Matt Patricia may be out on his backside, and this may be just a part of a fire sale that they're about to undertake. What do we know, guys, about Quandre Diggs? You said that he was a Pro Bowler. Is he that much better than what we currently have? I guess Pete Carroll thinks so.
What I saw, just reading online, he's really good in the clubhouse. His teammates love him, and it was a big shock that they sent him packing. But this kid can play. From just a little bit of the video that I watched, I think the Seahawks, once again, made another steal of a trade.
Yeah, I'm a little curious why they didn't go with perhaps an Ugo Amadi at safety, or what do you think, guys? Is having two rookies in Blair and Amadi just asking for trouble?
I think part of the problem with our secondary is inexperience and the youth. We're just there's some great talent and depth and skill there. And Pete Carroll's shown, that he has the capability to train these guys up and groom them up to a pretty high level. But he needs more time to work with those two. And so this buys him some time and a veteran that can step in that has proven himself in the league. So there's no negative there, in my opinion.
Guys, give me your precognition. Tell me what you think that defensive backfield looks like. Who are the starting safeties this Sunday?
Well, is McDougal still hurt?
Yes.
Then you probably got to go with Blair, and I don't see Diggs starting right away, though. Maybe after a week, so maybe Blair and Thompson. So
go back to Thompson. Okay.
Yes.
The thing about defense and the way the Seahawks play defense is, starting is really one play. They rotate guys in and out so fast and so much, on a play-by-play basis. That starting is one play, and it's a statistic that doesn't really hold that much relevance in this league anymore. Except for maybe at quarterback position. But maybe Diggs gets a start. I don't know, but he's going to play most of the game for sure, I think.
All right, we'll see who's right, who's wrong. I'm kind of more on Soulman's side here. I don't know if you throw Quandre Diggs in for the entire game. I don't know if he gets to start, but we'll see what happens. I assume there's a big playbook he has to learn as well. Let's take a look at the front side of that pass defense, and that's that pass rush. I had a really eloquent question that I wanted to ask you guys. Pass rush. What's up with that? We don't got it.
They haven't had one. Go ahead.
That's it. We don't got one.
I thought you were going to go with pass rush WTF, but close enough. I don't know where it went. It disappeared. You're right. It completely disappeared.
We haven't had one all year.
Well, we've had games where we've really gotten to the quarterback. I mean, I remember more than a few times Baker Mayfield getting knocked on his butt. So I mean, and a couple other quarterbacks. But this last game, I didn't see it. I don't know.
So do you think that's an indictment then on the ability to play Lamar Jackson, or inability, that is?
Absolutely.
Go
ahead.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I think that speaks to the talent of Lamar Jackson anyway. I mean, he was pulling some Russell Wilson moves in that pocket.
Is it though? Okay, so I had this discussion with the SoCal Seahawk, Robert English, on the Monday Night Podcast. I look at the numbers, and I know numbers lie. I understand that, but I look at the numbers. It wasn't a very good passing game. We made Lamar Jackson one-dimensional, and it wasn't. we forgot to defend both dimensions, I guess, was the problem.
Well, yeah, it wasn't a passing game at all. You're right. Sorry, Brian, but they was very one-dimensional, and I'm now blanking on what my point was. Go ahead, Brian.
No, that's okay. There were Jackson did make a lot of big plays, even though some of our defense. There was like an early play where he was scrambling the first quarter and he threw it like 40 yards down. I forget who was on coverage on that, but
that would be Tedrick Thompson.
Yep. Oh, our boy. Okay. But so we blew that there. Just with the turnovers on Sunday and the fact that we went with a passing game. I don't know what they were thinking, Mr. Schottenheimer, that day. You can't really blame it totally on the defense on Sunday's football, this last game, but because of Schottenheimer's awful play calling. But
well, let's get to that in a second, because I think you're 100% correct. This offense gave up 2 touchdowns. It's not. And this is where I get back to Lamar Jackson. Okay, fine, he ran for 114 yards on 16 carries, but he went 9 of 21. He had one big 40-yard pass, and they only scored 16 points on offense.
Exactly. And take away those 2 turnovers. Yeah, exactly. We had them, but just like you said, why are we passing I know you said we're going to get to that, but why the hell were we passing the ball more than running against these guys? It doesn't make any sense.
45 passes, and it was 25 rushes.
Wow.
that is what happened. What's going on with Brian Schottenheimer? I realize, okay, you get stuff on first down, you have to go to the pass on second and third down, but it just seems like they're not balanced. They're not patient with it. They either get way too run heavy, like they did against the Cowboys last year, or they get way too pass happy, like today. Where's that balance where and I'm not talking about numerical balance. It was baffling how they were passing 2-1, in the first 2 quarters. You're not down by that much. You're only down by a touchdown, man.
No, exactly. I know this is not part of the topic, but these receivers that we got a young group of receivers. I don't know why we keep throwing them the ball when they keep dropping the ball, and I was hoping we would get a wide receiver before the trade deadline, because we're missing Doug Baldwin's presence on that field, in my opinion.
I was going to say, back on the prior quick topic, was that what the defensive coordinator and the play calling, it's like we haven't decided upon our identity and we haven't committed to it. We're a running first team, and yes, I think what happens is Schottenheimer gets googly-eyed when he sees Russell Wilson's numbers for the passing and goes, whoa, okay, maybe we can be a 100% passing team and really, air it up and do all that. But you can't necessarily do that. And the reason why Russell's been successful in the air is because of our ground attack and our rushing. And we need to stick with what we're built to do. And we brought on guys on our offensive line that specialize in run blocking and to build that offensive line over the offseason with the intent of having our anchor be Chris Carson. And he's incredibly talented and well respected throughout the league, and he's a great runner, and we should not forget that and just start airing it up nonstop.
Let's talk about Chris Carson. He got the bulk of the carries. CJ Procise, 1 carry, 17 yards. Rashad Penny, 0. 0 carries, 0 yards. Mm-hmm. I know that Chris Carson's the most talented of that trio. What are you doing not using your other running backs? Did we just use a first-round draft pick for no reason at all?
Yes.
On Rashad Penny?
Yes.
Yes, I agree.
For those who don't know, I've been advocating pretty much since the beginning of this season just to cut bait with Rashad Penny. I'm done with. He's not a first-round talent.
Did you say abdicating or advocating?
Advocating.
Okay, abdicating would be something different.
Yes, the opposite. But anyway, I think he's, we wasted a high round pick. We're not using him or changing our scheme to fit what his talent, does. We're not, we're trying to force the square peg through the round hole. And so when he does get the ball, it doesn't work as well as it should. And the other thing is there weren't many carries to go around this time because we were airing out the ball too much. But even when we are not doing that, Penny doesn't. I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to be first round impressed, and I'm not first round impressed.
I'm super not impressed with the fact that I'm not even seeing Rashad Penny return kicks or be a gunner on punts. What does he do? What value add is there? And CJ Procise, who had 17 yards on the ground on 1 carry, is he in the doghouse? This is so baffling, guys.
No, they're afraid he'll get hurt, so.
Oh. Well, he'll be so much better on the bench doing nothing. Definitely won't get hurt there.
And I think, I'm going off topic here a little bit, maybe or maybe not, but losing Will Disley, I think that's starting to hurt us more and more when we do go back to pass. He doesn't.
That was impressive. That was impressive watching Jacob Hollister, a guy I never heard of,
exactly
get the bulk of the targets when Luke Wilson is sitting there on the bench doing nothing. Just a complete baffling use of players on the offensive side.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
all
happy with the lack of usage of Luke Wilson. I've been a fan of his since we got him, and plus the Wilson link up has been pretty good over the years. I don't know why we're not using him more.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we're doing way too much agreeing here. Let's see if we can find some we can disagree on, and that's what we should expect when the Hawks go to Atlanta.
It should be a blowout in favor of us, but I could see the Seahawks majorly blowing the game, I guess, depending on which team, if Matt Ryan starts or if Matt Schaub starts at quarterback. I guess it all depends because Matt Ryan is capable of, I think, taking that team and beating us 41-35 if we play like we have been.
Atlanta is a riddle to me. I'm not really sure. I look at their roster, I watch them play, and I'm still really not sure why they're 1-6 right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really don't know why they're 1-6. I can't. I just honestly, it baffles me. The talent on that roster and everything, it blows my mind. But it depends on what Matt shows up to start, and Matt Ryan could absolutely destroy us and take advantage of that the fact that we don't have our Quandre Diggs up to speed just yet in that secondary, or Matt Schaub could just hand the ball off 400 times,
or even Matthew Paige would probably lead him to victory. In my opinion.
If they want to sign me, I'm willing to do it. I mean, I'll stand on the sideline and be a clipboard quarterback for $300K a year, whatever they make. I'll do that, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. So all right. So I got it. Matt Ryan shows up. We have something to worry about. Matt Schaub shows up. We got nothing to worry about. If Matt Paige shows up, obviously. We got a good laugh.
Oh yeah,
as he gets his backside.
It'll be hilarious.
Demolished.
Yes.
All right.
as I get injured in a more horrific than Joe Theismann or Alex Smith or some terrific way where my knee goes the wrong way and they show it in slow motion on Fox 500 times.
So, real quick on their defense. They got some talented players on that team, but their pass rush has been worse than ours this year just by watching videos and studying up. But I see with our offensive line how inconsistent we are. I can see them getting 3 or 4 sacks, and that could be a huge factor on Sunday too.
I'm not super worried about Atlanta. They're in full sell mode. I just saw where Mohamed Sanu went to the Patriots.
Yes.
Vic Beasley, I think, is gone. I think they're tearing it all down, and Quinn, the head coach, is probably going to be fired.
Could we see Dan Quinn back here next year as the defensive coordinator?
I would love that. I'd like to get rid of
Norton.
Norton doesn't know what he's doing.
I'd be on board.
Me
Pay him
too.
what he wants. Pay him what he wants. Just say, here's a blank check. Cash it. Come run our defense again.
All right. So let's talk about our favorite topic of not just the year, but pretty much every day, and that's the Washington State Cougars. Right, guys? We like to talk about them all the time.
All the time. That's all I do.
Yeah.
I think we should do a podcast dedicated just to Wazoo.
Yeah, no different ways they lose. I mean, we could fill up 52 shows a year on the different ways they lose.
I get on a conference call at work, and I'm like, all right, how does this connect to Washington State Cougars losing football? And then we all sit there and brainstorm and come up with ideas.
All right, so
anyway, go on.
The HBO special airs this week. You guys watching it?
It aired last night. I unfortunately don't have HBO, but I was reading online, and they had a lot of clips on it. It looked pretty good.
I will have to watch it. I didn't know yet when it was airing exactly, but I'll have to check it out, and I'll hook you up with my password for my my HBO. Although I shouldn't say that out loud, should I? I'm sharing passwords.
I appreciate that.
And
Thank you.
I too will find a legitimate way to find that show.
Yeah. I pay for the online streaming version.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah. So.
Right
oh shoot! I may not have ever canceled mine ever since Game of Thrones. Oops. I might need to check into that. Yeah. All right. Anyway, but do you guys get the feeling? Do you ever think that perhaps some of the loosey-goosey nature of the way the Cougars do business, and maybe with some of the television cameras on them, do you think that might interfere at all with the clubhouse?
No, I think it motivates them. I mean, that team's pretty united. I know I'm biased, as you would say, but I think it only inspires them to do even more, do better together. Obviously, the only reason why they went to Pullman was to fill because of Coach Leach, but just by watching all these videos on there, it's not going to give them a big head or anything. It's a good recruiting tool too for Wazoo. I that makes sense.
Okay. Question for Matt.
Does. Yeah, sorry, it does make sense. It is a great recruiting tool. Yeah, I just wanted to agree with that.
Question for you, Matthew Paige. Matt Paige, Mario Cristobal is just completely unable to beat Mike Leach. That's a fact. That is a true fact that has been established over the years.
Over the 1 year?
Over the years. Yeah.
The years, yes, plural
years. Because Mario
full history going back.
Well, how long has Cristobal been a coach at Oregon?
This is his second year.
No. He was a coach before then.
He was 1 year. He was 1 year before that. Okay.
So 3 years.
He was an assistant coach, but yeah.
3 years. So I repeat, for years, Mario Cristobal has been defeated by the Pirate Mike Leach.
Years. Okay. So
years, plural.
All right.
3 years.
Okay.
You admitted it.
Well, no, 2 years.
Okay. So
it's plural either way.
Yes.
Yeah, just
I
answer the question, Matthew Paige.
What's the question?
Why isn't he capable of defeating the Cougars? What's wrong with him? What's wrong with your boy?
What's
Mario
wrong
Cristobal? With Yeah, your guy. He's your guy.
Well, first of all, the Ducks teams 2 years ago was Willie Taggart's team.
Oh boy, here comes
he
the
was taking
excuses.
over Helfrich's mess.
Here comes the excuses.
And was starting to rebuild the program. Then Cristobal took over this last year, and he's building the program up even more. I think this year he's going to reverse the trend. I think this year he's finally going to switch it, and it'll be
the mountains
2-1.
Of evidence. The mountains of evidence that for years he can't get the job done. What makes you think this year's different?
Mountains of evidence for years. All 2 years. One where he was an assistant coach. Just Wazoo put a better team on the field. They were really good the last 2 years. They their air raid was better than our secondary could handle, and they beat us. I don't know what more you want me to say. But I think going forward this year, I think that Wazoo's defense has been exposed a bit to be a bit weaker, and I think our passing attack is still pretty solid on there, and Herbert doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and I think that ultimately is going to lead to the win. Plus, it's also in Autzen Stadium this year, which does help.
But I believe that the Cougars have won in Autzen Stadium before.
They have, yes.
Yeah.
In history, yes, over the 90 years of playing, yes.
Solack,
go ahead.
Solack, what do you think of Matt Paige's completely biased and unreasonable view on this?
That's my answer, but
well, can you give us your biased and completely unreasonable
100%
expectation?
Biased and unreasonable, yeah, absolutely. I think the Cougars have pulled it together. I think our defense does suck, but I think they've figured out some of the weaknesses and they fixed that and under the new leadership on defense. And I honestly see us going in, I guess, unless the weather sucks, I think we're going to go in there and pull out a victory in overtime. That is my prediction.
All right. Well, I predict that an asteroid hits the field and knocks out both teams. And
so both of you are wrong. How does it feel to be wrong?
It feels the same way as losing for years. All right, let's move on to baseball. Moving on to baseball here, because actually I'm not even going to be watching that stupid game because it's two stupid teams. I don't even give a damn.
You'll watch.
Oh no, okay, I will watch it so I can text you guys when horrible things happen.
And make points. Yes.
Let's move on to baseball here. The Nationals.
Wow.
Is this the team of destiny? They just won 2 straight over Houston. Do we just hand them the title right now?
Well, first of all, they didn't just win 2 straight. They won with authority last night. I mean, it was, 10-4 was the final or whatever. I mean, they won with authority. They didn't mess around. It was like, yeah, this is us. And we don't care that we're in Houston. It was impressive. I mean, it was really impressive.
Teams don't come back by losing 2 at home. That doesn't happen.
It just doesn't. And the way the teams and the pitchers are lined up for the next 2 games, it might not get me back to Houston. I mean, it's looking pretty grim for Houston right now, I have to say, and I'm surprised. I'm more surprised than anyone, I have to say. I mean, Houston was. Once the Dodgers were out of the mix, I was like, okay, Houston's got it clinched, basically. You can write that down and, you can go place a $10,000 bet at Vegas and you'd win. I mean,
Yeah, let me go to the Red Sox fan, Soulman. Red Sox, didn't they come back from 2 down?
They did. They were down, 3 down? What was it? Back in 04, I believe. But it can happen. The Nationals, I truly believe are going to pull out the series, but I think they're going to pull it out in probably 6, maybe 7 games. I think pitching Patrick Corbin in relief was stupid, and it's going to affect their games 3 and 4. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right, guys. So that leaves the Mariners as the last current Major League Baseball team who have never won a pennant.
Well, wait a second. There's one cool note. I want you to look on the bright side. The Mariners share a current record with the Nationals in that they are the other franchise of 2 that have never lost a World Series game.
Wait, is that true?
Yeah.
So of all the baseball teams, so even the ones that like went once and won, they've all lost. That's possible. That's possible. The thing is, this leaves Seattle, the city of Seattle, as not just the only team to have never been to the World Series. We're also the only city that has never seen a World Series.
And we have the longest streak without the playoffs.
And we have exactly. But what I was going to say though is like there have been teams in the past like the Cleveland Spiders, the St. Louis Browns, just various teams that went out of business, but at least their cities still saw a World Series.
Or teams that moved, like the Brooklyn Dodgers or the New York Giants, etc. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
The Miami Marlins, they've been there
twice.
Twice.
One twice.
Tampa Bay has been at least once, right?
They've been once. Yeah.
Yes. 08. Yep.
I mean, that's just sad for us.
Tampa Bay is the next most miserable baseball team ever, but yeah, at least they went once.
Yeah,
that's depressing.
Sad. Now that we've depressed ourselves.
All right, speaking of depressing baseball things that are going on, our Everett AquaSox, an affiliate to the Seattle Mariners, short season single A, they might be out of the affiliation business. What's going on with this?
Yeah, so this is all still up in the air. It's a proposed plan of action by the MLB that has gotten out, reported on by Baseball America, and actually just before this call, I was listening to a podcast with the reporter who broke the story, and he was going into it in a little more detail. It's all still tentative and has to be worked out, but theoretically, they want to lose about 40 or so teams in major leagues across the league, and they want to. Which will reduce the available pool for each team from about 280 to about 150 or so players, which will cut costs for development costs for teams, which will also allow them to raise wages about 50% across the board for all Major League Baseball players. But at the same time, they kind of don't want to leave, and they don't want to screw over small towns that have these teams, so they want to create the Dream League, which is for the undrafteds, because they're going to reduce the draft to 20 to 25 rounds instead of the 40 that it are right now. Because
I disagree. They do want to screw over those teams because they're not happy that a lot of these minor league teams don't have pro-level facilities. I think that's a big part of this.
Yes, the facilities are lacking in some locations. They're not happy with some of the parks that share facilities with other places or whatever. And a great example of that, unfortunately, is Everett. Even some of the better off teams in the Northwest League, like for example, the Eugene Emeralds play on the University of Oregon's facilities, but they can't play a full season. The article in question mentioned that the Northwest League would remain, but it would be probably upgraded to full season low A, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee that Everett or Eugene or anyone would necessarily still be safe. So even if they're safe, it might totally impact the affiliation, like you mentioned.
Yeah. So full season A, fine, but who else would go full season A for them to play against in a geographically meaningful way?
Well, the whole league. I mean, the whole league would go A
instead of Dream League.
Yeah, that's the thinking right now, is that Northwest League would go full season A. The problem is that at least 3 of the teams share facilities and don't have the ability to play all year. So that being Everett, because they conflict with the Everett Community College and with the Everett High Schools, the Eugene Emeralds, and Hillsborough's apparently their field is used by a part of the time by another team, and then Spokane, there's questions.
Yeah,
Spokane, there was some questions as well. So there are questions still to be answered. There are things still to be figured out. It's all just a preliminary proposal, but yes, it might completely. I mean, we might lose the AquaSox as far as their affiliation with the Mariners, but I think their goal is to try and keep baseball in the towns that it's in. It's just it would switch to it'd be basically you'd be watching an independent league.
You're watching PICL.
You're watching the guys who aren't good enough to get drafted, who are hoping to show off well enough that they then get bought by a red major league team.
I hope it doesn't go that route, but well said.
That's the dream league.
But with Everett, they are saying just because of high school baseball, they can play in the spring, but they would have to have a bunch of day games during the day, which is pretty stupid because it's not going to bring them any income.
They would lose money. They would lose money on the deal. It doesn't make any sense for them to go. It doesn't make any sense to go single A, and it also the Dream League. You're basically, like I said, no better. Not that there's anything wrong with the PICL or the WCL, but you're just going to be the Bellingham Bells.
You're going to be a step up from them because you're going to be players that are graduated. So they're going to be the next level. So yeah, you'd be on the same level with the Everett Merchants League, because those guys are independent, right? They're not college kids like yeah.
Correct.
So you'd be on the same level as the Merchants basically, but
so basically
theoretically little bit better.
So basically, what would the Dream League offer that the PICL doesn't?
The Dream League would offer a channel to the real minor leagues. They would be watched and scouted heavily more by Major League Baseball, and they would be, because there would be a special agreement in place, because it would be financed apparently. This is tentative, of course. They would be financed by the minor league baseball and Major League Baseball combined, so it'd be propped up by them. So it'd be a feeder league into the feeder minor leagues into the major leagues, and so what would happen is that if a major league team sees a dude that they really like on, say Everett Everett becomes independent in this Dream League, if they see a dude they really like, they could purchase his contract for $5,000 from the Dream League team and put him then in their real minor leagues and develop him from there. So they could at any point score a mini call-up little bit, you know.
What's to stop the big teams, the big money-making teams, from just buying all the talent?
Limited roster space. Like I said, you're cutting down from about 280 people because you're limited to 5 minor league teams now. So you would only be able to protect up to 150 players instead of the 280 you can protect now. So there's going to be competition for the best talent in the Dream Leagues, but theoretically, the people who are going to wind up in the Dream Leagues are the players drafted between round 25 and round 40.
Actually, it'd be round 21. They're cutting it down to 20.
20 or 21 or whatever. Yeah, they statistically though, the people from that range, about 4% of them make it to the majors. So they still wouldn't want to lose that 4% potential talent, because they need it at the major league level. But there would still be in the Dream League, there still would be a path to the majors. It's another hurdle.
This is so garbage, though. I mean, come on, like we're not getting a chance to see anything better than the 400th best player or something like that. Like,
well, you see him now. I mean.
We see
the guy in the bullpen.
No.
Yeah, you do.
How many times?
Matt,
you're not understanding. What I'm saying is the only thing we would see is the 400th through 1,000th best players.
Now you got me discouraged, Matthew Paige. Thanks a lot.
Well, no, I'm saying
look
at the entire bullpen for the AquaSox is usually like everyone drafted from round 30 to 40. You know, it'd be those guys.
Yeah, only Matt. There's going to be 40 of them on the team instead of 10.
Yes, there wouldn't be as many. Yeah, we wouldn't have the first round.
So your argument, you're not getting my argument though. My argument is I'm not getting to see highly touted prospects. All I'm seeing is the leftovers, and that's not going to be as fun.
No, it isn't. You're right, but baseball doesn't care about that because then if you want to see the real talent, you got to
I think we
drive
just
down.
got a quote. We got a quote of the night. Baseball does not care, but you have
No, because if you want to see the real talent, you got to get in your car and drive 20 miles south and pay $45 for a bleacher seat ticket, and $12 a beer and $15 for a hot dog at T-Mobile Park.
Solack, we've been dominating this conversation. Care to weigh in any concerns or excitement that you have over this?
I was excited until Matthew Paige put me down. Sorry, dude, but I guess I didn't study it up enough because I'm quite discouraged by this. But
I mentioned bothered by this the whole week.
I will be. You mentioned wages. Is it going to improve wages for the minor leaguers because they make jack?
Yes.
What?
It's going to be worse. It's going to be worse.
If the AquaSox stay in the real minors, they come up to low A, and they stay in the real minor league system, and they're not in the Dream League, then players' salaries will increase by up to 50%.
And here's the flip side of that coin. If they go to the Dream League,
then
the AquaSox will have to pay those salaries.
Well, that's still being worked out because supposedly that it's not 100% in that area. Supposedly, minor league baseball and major league baseball will be helping to fund the Dream League. No real details yet on terms of if they'll pay the salaries or what. But the point is you'll be making significantly less if you're in the Dream League than if you are in the real minors.
I don't like it. I understand, but I don't like it.
It's all theoretical at this point. It's all a negotiating point and a starting proposal for the agreement or for the players' negotiations, overall agreement with MLB and the players' union. It's baseball's first proposal and starting point for the negotiations. So a lot of it might change, but a lot of it makes sense. There are some facilities that are just, not up to today's standards, and I can see them wanting better standards and better situations. There are leagues like the Pacific. They talk about the Pacific Coast League and the International League, the two big AAA leagues, and doing some restructuring so that teams who have an AAA team on the East Coast or teams who are on the East Coast that will then have a AAA team on the East Coast. Like right now, I think there's somebody on the East Coast, like the Orioles has their AAA team is on like the West Coast. It's kind of dumb, and the Dodgers are in Oklahoma City. So they'd restructure it so the International League would be 18 teams, and the Tacoma or the Pacific Coast League would be 10 teams, so that travel time would be reduced. So there would be better traveling from accommodations for the players, better hotel accommodations, better. Better equipment and training available to their players. They would save money, and they'd be able to use that money better on player development.
Well, as long as Major League Baseball is winning out of this and the fans aren't, then this is a great.
Thing. So like I said, it's preliminary. There is no idea. No one really knows. They did mention in the Baseball America that the Northwest League might move up to low A and become full season. That might mean that the AquaSox just become full season, and we still have them, and they're still playing here, and they're still connected to the Seattle Mariners. It might mean they get eliminated. We don't know. It's too early to say, but it is a big deal, and it's something to seriously keep an eye on.
I can guarantee you this: there's going to be a lot of teams that are going to tell baseball to shove it with their Dream League, and if they get dropped, they just end up doing like what I envision for the AquaSox. Just go WCL. Forget the Dream League. You'll get a better class of player.
I agree with that.
Well, WCL is what, the Bells?
Yeah.
Yes.
They can't go WCL unless they go they switch to college developmental. Yeah. And then if they go the other one, PICL, the Merchants already play there. So.
Well, that doesn't matter. You play on different days. I don't see them going PICL because there's not a lot of money in that. But I'd rather go, if I were them, I'd rather go college summer league over, frickin' dream league.
Yeah, and on the podcast, I'll send you guys a link to it after this. On the podcast, he discusses that he could see a lot of the smaller teams maybe aiming at becoming developmental leagues for players in the summer, for maybe even for like high school kids. And
yeah, I'd rather have that, to be honest.
Absolutely.
That, and so like maybe like the Northwest League becomes
a junior, like juniors WHL,
like the Cape Cod League, basically, or the
Yeah.
WCL League, like that. Yeah, I could see that happening. But
all right, from what
we don't know. The bottom line is we don't know at this point. We don't know what's happening.
What we do know is pretty miserable. Another miserable thing happened this week. the NBA is in between a rock and a hard place when it comes to politics in China.
Ooh.
Does this show hypocrisy by the NBA and their owners, or does it show hypersensitivity by today's victim culture, or whatever you call it these days?
I'm going to talk about that first because this isn't too smart of a topic for somebody like me. I read this article, a bunch of articles, and watched a bunch of videos, and I just got overwhelmed by all the material in it. But with your question, I would go with just hypersensitivity by today's culture, because people are right now are a bunch of, I guess I can't say the word, but they're a bunch of big babies out there. So they take everything.
Snowflakes.
There you go, snowflakes.
Sissies,
Yes.
mama's boys.
Mama's boys, whatever you wanted. Yeah. They're, like I said,
It's kind of ridiculous when an organization who wants to make sure they're not cutting off a revenue stream, but still wants to be involved in what's right. It just, there's something a little bit gross about that. All right, we gotta stand up for what's right. Not if it cuts into our Nike shoe sales in Hong Kong.
yeah.
There's something a little gross about that, but I think I lean more towards where you're going with that, Solack, where, you know what, everybody, calm the heck down. You complain when players talk about politics, and then you complain when they choose not to. You can't. You're hypocrites too. You can't have it both ways.
Well said.
So what you're seeing actually is the beginning of China exerting its economic force over the world, and it's not just the NBA. Recently, there's show my nerd gamer roots. Activision Blizzard stepped on it pretty hard recently as well, in regards to Hong Kong and the Hong Kong protests that are going on. And China is very butthurt when it comes to any kind of what they view as slight or imposition of our values over them and their ways of doing things. And their middle class is 3, 4, 5 times the size of the U.S.'s, which is currently the biggest economic pool in the world, and that's going to shift. They're growing and they're getting more and more power, and as they get more and more power in that regard, corporations are going to try and cater to them like this, and they've got to walk a fine line. They've got Hollywood does in a huge way, and they've got to walk a very fine line in what they do and what they say to appease both parties while the transition is happening, because we're going to reach a state here in 10 to 15, 20 years down the road where they're not going to care about the U.S. market. They're going to care only about the Chinese market, and they're going to be building stuff to sell to that instead of us, because they'll make more money there. And
I don't agree with that, but that's getting out of the realm of what we talk about. That's what's influencing it, and so they're trying to straddle that line. And yes, really politics doesn't have a place to play in sports, but there are atrocities happening there, and people want to show their support. And I think there was a massive overreaction by the NBA to slam him for tweeting like free Hong Kong or whatever on his Twitter. And everyone just needs to calm down a little bit. But
I think I don't think it's hypersensitivity in today's culture. I think it's hypersensitivity by China and the economic power that they have. You know,
Matt,
NBA wants to expand.
Why are you hypersensitive about Oregon constantly losing to Wazoo?
They aren't constantly losing to Wazoo.
Well, for years they have.
For 2 years, yes.
Do you have any buy, sell, or go to hell for us, Matt?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Right.
We're moving on to a segment called Buy, Sell, or Go to Hell, where Matt asks Brian, the Soulman, Solack, and myself. He gives us a name, he gives us a place, he gives us a thing, and we will choose whether we want to buy, sell, or tell that person, place, or thing to go to hell.
Or just give you a quick summary on it, or whatever. I want to say right now, let's start with Brandon Silvers, Seattle Dragons starting quarterback from Troy State. Your thoughts? Buy, sell, go to hell. What do you think of him?
I'll go first on that. I buy. I think he's going to be fun to watch, and I'm very happy about it. He's gonna that offense is going to be really good, and hopefully we can get the fans out to watch the XFL. But Silvers is a good choice.
I sell. Troy is not a state. It was an ancient kingdom. It could even be a guy in red that prowls the USC sidelines. But Troy is definitely not a state. Now, had this Brandon Silvers gone to University of Alabama Birmingham, who are the Dragons or the Blazers, which has a picture of a dragon, I might be on that, but not Troy State. No.
Okay. All right. Let's go. I mentioned him earlier. Willie Taggart. Should Florida State eat the 16 or $18 million left on their contract with him and move on, judging from the absolute train wreck of a team that they have now?
Boy, I think you sell on Willie Taggart. USC just got rid of Ed Ogeron. They didn't leave him on a tarmac though. So, and they ate a lot of money. I think if you're Florida State, you eat that money and you get rid of that terrible, terrible coach.
Sell on that as well. Willie Taggart can go to hell too, but that's another topic of conversation.
Did he do something to you? Like what?
Yeah, a little harsh. And by the way, of course, people are already saying Urban Meyer might get signed to coach Florida State, which, of course, the most popular unemployed coach. Obviously, he's going to be mentioned.
He's going to the Cowboys.
Oh, Cowboys now. Okay. All right.
So any head coaching vacancy, he's going there.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay. All right. Nationals or Astros? Who you picking? Who you rooting for? Who you picking?
I'll say Nationals in 6.
I will buy the Nationals. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
They're already up to nothing.
Sorry, I didn't say buy, but yeah.
All right. One last baseball news. This week, Angels hired Joe Madden to coach their team. What do you think?
Go ahead. My opinion, great pick. He should turn that franchise around. It's going to take a little while, though. I know you think they're going to get Garrett Cole, Matthew Paige, and you're high on their minor league guy coming up, but that team's needs a lot of help, in my opinion. Too many bad contracts there. I know you didn't ask this, but Joe Girardi going to the Phillies is a better choice than Joe Madden going to the Angels.
I didn't ask, no. Abraham.
Yeah, by Joe Madden, why not?
All right. Okay, Michael Bennett got traded today to the Cowboys by the Patriots. Do you think that's a good move, bad move? What do you think about it?
Oh, I buy that if I'm the Patriots, and if I were a Cowboys fan, I'd tell them to go to hell. What a mistake. You got a guy that plays 25% of the plays on the defensive line for the Patriots and wants more time. He wants to run himself out of town and not get a Super Bowl ring. Makes you question whether Bennett even where is his priorities. It's definitely not being a teammate.
God, there's a lot of trades this year, but yeah, I buy that for the Patriots, like Gabe was saying. But I think Michael Bennett's a douchebag, and I hope he does a crappy job for the Cowboys.
And they did it only for a 7th-round pick, so that was kind of a cheap send-off. Yeah,
I bet he's sensitive about that. He should have gone higher, probably.
Okay. Josh Gordon got put on the IR, but is now raising controversy by the fact that he says he'll be ready to go in 2 weeks, and he's now been placed on the IR and out for the rest of the season.
I can't fault the Patriots. They're master manipulators with their roster. They know that Gordon's not going to give them what they want out of him for his pay rate, and they're specifically they're trying to force Gordon's hand right now, because if they can get rid of him soon, if he demands a release, they stand to save a lot of money on a player that they don't think is going to do anything ever again.
I buy for the Patriots side. Another great move by them. I was watching on ESPN tonight. They're saying already that they plan on cutting his ass. I mean, cutting him when he gets off the injured reserve. Good riddance. He's just another headache.
Okay, and then the last one was, I heard a trade rumor today from our good friend Sanju. Apparently,
that's a credible resource.
Oh yes, he had heard that the Patriots were sniffing around OBJ from the Browns.
Where did you hear this? Did he have his ear to a railroad track?
I didn't ask the source. I just told him he was an idiot, and I walked away from him. But I'm curious as to your thoughts.
I would buy OBJ if he's available, but he's not. I think you buy OBJ and sell Sanju.
Did you get in a lot of trouble selling an Indian American or Indian American?
Not me. I'm Indian. I can.
That's true. Okay. Raise a lot of flags, but okay. Brian?
I take the 5th on Sanju because I don't know him as well. I'll leave that with you guys. But
okay.
I call that rumor false, and so I call that rumor can go to hell.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt, and thank you, Brian, Soulman&quot, for doing tonight's show. I'll get this posted tonight, and I want to thank everyone out there for listening. Check us out at SeattleSportsUnion.com, and check us out on our Twitter page at SeattleSportsUnion, and go to our Facebook page and like us. We're likable, aren't we?
I would say so.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody.
You too. Follow me on Twitter, by the way, at Soulman156.